First of all, I would like to thank Your Excellency, Ambassador Selma Hadaddi, Ambassador of Algeria, permanent representative to the African Union. And today we are sitting down with you in your office to discuss about one of the most important engagements that you are having at the moment in anticipation of the 38th organization of the African Union Assembly. And that relates to the election of the leadership of the African Union Commission. You are a candidate for the position of Deputy Chairperson. First of all, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Amani Africa's podcast, The Pan-Africanist. Most welcome.
Thank you very much. I would like to reciprocate the thanks to you, Dr. Salomon, for this opportunity, and to yourself and to Amani Africa and the team of Amani Africa. Indeed, we have reached a juncture that is important before the next ordinary summit of the African Union, and I'm sure that our conversation will stimulate our thoughts ahead of this turning point in the life of the organization.
Excellent. The focus of our conversation would be the election and with a specific focus on your candidacy for the position of Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission. Let's start with questions about why this election matters, and if there is anything that makes this election of the African Union Commission different from the elections that the Commission had so far. I would appreciate your reflections on what makes this election different.
No, thank you very much. It's a very stimulating question, actually. This election is important. I would have preferred that we would say that all elections are important, because these elections, when we come to renew the composition of the leadership team of the African Union Commission, it's always a major event in the life of the organization, because our objective as member states of the African Union is to equip the organization with the best Pan-Africanists, the best talents, the best competencies, and the best leaders. But this election in particular is important with regard to several aspects. The first one is an election that is meant to implement the reform, the institutional reform of the African Union. If you remember, in 2018, there was an extraordinary summit on the reform, and many of the aspects that govern this election have been agreed during that extraordinary summit. Of course, following assembly decisions were taken to clarify some of the aspects of that extraordinary summit decision, but this is the first time that we implement this reform, institutional reform, when it comes to the elections in, what I can say, normal conditions, because in 2021 we were in the midst of COVID-19, and the conditions were, not 100% equal to what we have today. This is one thing. The second aspect is the fact that within the continent and outside the continent there are major developments. We are, as member states, but also as a commission and as an organization, we have to think about the future of our engagement with all the issues that are pressing: peace and security, development, AFCFTA, operationalization, the repercussions of the international context, the situation in the Middle East, the situation in Europe and beyond. So I think that this election really makes us more than ever focus and leads us to more than ever focus on what really matters for our organization, for our continent, and how do we position ourselves as a collective, as a union, in order to navigate those, let's say, special conditions, special waters that are constituting the international and the regional context in the best manner possible, while not departing from our original, raison d'être, our original principles, our original objectives, those that were set by our founding father, but also our collective, hopes and expectations for the future.
Great. I think the context in which the election is happening for 2025 is different from the previous ones, and therefore making the election stand out from previous elections, from what you said, both in terms of the kinds of issues and challenge that the union has to contend with, but also the geopolitical and international environment that we are facing in terms of pursuing the union's agenda. In the light of this changing dynamics and context of the elections of the leadership of the African Union Commission, how different and what kind of qualities of leadership would these changing circumstances require? From what you said as well, we have to reposition ourselves as the union in the face of these changing dynamics. And what kind of leadership does this repositioning require, in your view?
It requires, in my view, to really focus more than ever on the resources that we have and how we manage these resources as an organization and as a secretariat, as the African Union Commission. More than ever, we need the highest level of talents. And we do have. The continent is full of talents and competencies. But we need to find a way to attract them and to give them a framework of work, an environment that motivates them to remain and to give express their fullest potential in the service of the organization and its member states. This is one challenge and one context and one opportunity also. But also when it comes to resources, equally so, we are talking about financial resources. So the difference now is that now it's 10 years after we have decided to provide or to avail ourselves with alternative sources of financing. The Ordinary Summit of Joburg 2015 had really clarified that the heads of states and government have taken a bold decision to ensure that our operational budget, our program budget, and our peace and security budget would be financed at a certain extent by domestic resources, meaning continental African resources. 10 years after that, I think that it won't be a surprise if I would refer to the fact that the decision on the levy, 0.2% on imports, that was supposed to be the magical solution, has not been followed by such an effective implementation. And at the same time, in the international geopolitical context, the international economic context has impacted our situation as a continent and as an organization in a manner that we do not have the same availability of resources that are provided in the context of cooperation with other non-African partners. If I have to express myself on the matter, I think that there has been a lot of efforts to ensure that we implement and we trigger internal resources to the organization. But I think that we could have done better, starting by ensuring that we use the resources that are available in accordance with the highest level of management. I think that we could have done better. And this is not a criticism, this is a self-introspection, because it's a collective endeavor. It's member states and the Commission and the African Union organs. We could have worked better in order to ensure that whatever resources are available, their utilization is maximized so that we achieve the highest level of objectives we can achieve in light of the amount of the resources that we have. And of course, this refers us to the good management, to the transparency, to the implementation of the highest norms, international norms, in terms of financial management. So this situation, I think, in a manner or in a way or in another, has affected the level of trust. I mean, we need, as member states, and I can understand, we all have ministers of finance, we all have treasuries, and we are all facing situations, economic situations that are not very, very easy. So we need to give sufficient reasons to our governments to be able to give or to contribute more and to justify that with their populations. We need to see really the impact of the program, the projects, and also the management of the organization, so that there is a level of confidence that triggers a level of commitment. We have noticed that since 2019, a year where we have really started to implement the financial institutional reforms, including by having this joint executive council between ministers of finance and ministers of foreign affairs, the F15 at several different levels. We should have had better results, but we notice that we are still struggling. We are still imposing on ourselves a 0% increase in budget. Yeah. But at the same time, we are very optimistic in terms of programs. We are increasing our programs. We are increasing the number of the institutions we want to be financed by the operational budget of the African Union. We are increasing the structure of our organs. So I think that we really need a new approach, a fresh approach that is that doesn't fear to ask the right questions and to introspect, because it's all about introspection. We need to draw the lessons, and we need a lot of courage. If there are decisions, actions to be taken, so that the health of the organization, the performance of the organization is better, I think it's a necessary process for us to go through.
Excellent. I think those points that you raised about the situation requiring us to harness the best talent from within the continent and other capacities within the continent, in terms of reinforcing the role and positioning of the Commission. And second, in terms of also the financial resource dimension of it, both in terms of the follow-up for implementation of the decisions that have been made, but also how existing resources are optimized to deliver on the commitments and on the programs, on the agenda of the union, and what kind of also, close relationship that requires between the Commission and member states. And that you mentioned, it's a collective responsibility, a collective endeavor, and therefore it requires leadership that can really be able to bring all of these to bear in making the AU better positioned in these changing dynamics. This brings me to the next issue that relates to the position of the Deputy Chairperson of the Commission. All right. And here I would like you to share with us what your understanding of the role of the Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission is, and how strategically important and significant a position this is for the African Union and its effective delivery.
Thank you so much for this question. Before answering specifically and directly the question of what is my understanding of the role of the Deputy Chairperson of the Commission, I feel it necessary to take us back to what is the definition of the African Union Commission. So, and the most eloquent definition is the one that is in the Constitutive Act. And the Constitutive Act defines the African Union Commission as the secretariat of the organization. So basically, of course, the word secretariat might seem restrictive. Not at all, because everywhere in the UN system, for instance, the agencies are defined as being secretariat as compared to their member states component. But then, in this very important organization that is the African Union, with its organs that are touching upon a whole range of life, the Commission is instrumental in making the strategic decisions of heads of states be implemented and provide a conducive environment for them to move ahead with their decisions, with their programs, with their development, with the integration, with the peace and security. So I think that having given this understanding of the role, or of course it's very restrictive, the role of the Commission is well spelled out in the statute of the Commission, in the Constitutive Act, but also in the decisions of heads of state throughout the years, makes me tell you that the role of the Deputy Chairperson is to ensure that the resources, human, financial, and also all the means are led in a manner, such a leadership that makes the organization and the chair of the Commission and the commissioners have the enabling environment to implement their respective mandates, their respective visions to the maximum possible of their potential. So, and to make member states really focus on their own discussion, the strategic discussions, how to move the organization ahead, how to bring an added value to the conversation that they might have with regard to the implementation of Agenda 2063, with regard to facing the peace and security challenges. And for that, the Deputy Chair of the Commission needs to show leadership, needs to have an ability to understand what is the perspective of the staff of the Commission, of the organs, how to mobilize their energies in the best way possible, but also to understand member states and their expectations. Because many times We have witnessed situations where there is like maybe a disconnection between any of those stakeholders. And of course, I chose deliberately not to give you the answer that is in what is the job description of the deputy chairperson. Anyone can go and read that job description. But what is the added value? The added value is to work in order to facilitate the work of everyone else, to make this organization, meaning the secretariat, the commission as a secretariat, the organs, attractive to the talents, be it from the continent or our diaspora. Let's not forget that we have a sixth region, which is the diaspora. And to attract resources because they have been well managed. And also, while in this process to attract or to find innovative ways to mobilize resources, ensure that those resources that are mobilized to implement our Pan-Africanist vision, not for anything else. Meaning that it's the resources that the deputy chairperson will have to mobilize or will have to ensure good management of have to be 100% to the service of the programs and the projects that have been decided by the member states. Of course, we have partners and we need to, the ingenuity will be to really have that conversation with the partners, to redirect or direct better, let me say direct better, their contributions, be it technical, be it in terms of know-how, or be it financial resources, to be fully in line with our needs, our strategic needs that allows us to implement our flagship projects and strategic objectives. And that is it. I think that, of course, a deputy chairperson has to be fair, has to lead by example, has to trigger commitment, has by other staff members. The deputy chairperson has to also create conducive conditions for the chairperson to perform his strategic vision. This is very important. The deputy chairperson is that stakeholder, actor of the team that makes it work.
Excellent. I mean, with that, and indeed, our expectation in asking you this question was not also for you to tell us the job description of the deputy chairperson, but your really strategic understanding of why it matters and how it matters. And with that, it will bring me to how you, other candidate, now fit into and if you are given the chance to take on this important responsibility, what kind of leadership qualities, ethos would you bring to this position to indeed deliver on those high-level expectations and demands that you eloquently described in terms of what the job of the deputy chairperson is and entails?
Before answering this question, I would add one element of the role of a deputy chairperson is also to ensure that all the actions of the commission are in line with the rules. This is very important, and also that the commission exerts all efforts to help implement the decisions, because you know that one of the challenges or the concerns that have been frequently highlighted in our conversations, and this is not a secret to anyone, is that we have some efforts to do in terms of implementing our own decisions. So be it in terms of human resources management, administrative management, it's very important that a deputy chairperson ensures that processes are in line with the rules, so that any decision is taken is legitimate and triggers the adherence of the staff and the departments and the organs, and equally so for the management of the resources. The notion of abiding by the rules and the regulations is very important. The aspect of the oversight, the internal oversight, the transparency, the accountability, and this leads me, of course, indirectly to the ethos that I would promote as a deputy chairperson, are immutable and sacred standards. Of course, promoting the first ethos would be Pan-Africanism. I always draw this comparison between that feeling that a student or a child has when he or she looks at a peacekeeper, a UN peacekeeper or a UN civil servant. It triggers admiration, it triggers the respect that that individual is serving the benefit of the nations, the collective of nations. It gives the image of commitment, of integrity. So same thing for the UN staff. They of course, this is something that is well known. There is this sense of pride. So we need to have that same level of pride to be staff of the African Union, to have our flag of the African Union very high, because it translates Pan-Africanism, it translates commitment, it translates unity, it translates highest standards of expertise, highest standards of management, excellence even. I would say excellence. So our continent deserves excellence, starting from the leadership of the Commission. And leading is also to create the conditions so that every day and every night, and we know how committed the staff of the Commission can be, but every day they wake up in the morning with that strong will to go and to serve the organization, because what the role is, what the staff of the African Union Commission has in terms of role, it is not to be minimized, because with the effort of each one of the staff, we can achieve, let me not say wonders, because it might seem poetic, but I'm sure that we can achieve very, very, very much for our organization. I can choose to use the administrative language of leaders, of management, and of leadership, but I choose not to do so, because at the end of the day, the Commission, the staff of the Commission are citizens of the continent. They are human beings, and we can obtain the best from them. We are having, for instance, recruiting. There is a process of recruitment, and you know all the discussions that we have had about the recruitment process and all of that. If you have a job description for any position, that requires a certain level of expertise, a number of years of experience. This means that the individual, the woman or the man, preferably young, because we want to invest in young people, can bring a level of expertise, of knowledge to the organization, to the commission. We need to invest in that and to ensure that that expertise is truly utilized for the benefit of the organization. I think that we need to minimize the practice to seek consultancies everywhere. We have our own expertise in the continent. So this is an example of what I would be endeavoring to achieve. If I manage in the first 100 days, if I'm honored to be elected, to have a secretariat that is producing documents on time, that the quality of documents is the quality that is expected from member states, that meetings are serviced in a manner that helps member states to focus on their agenda, no delays, that whenever member states require advice, technical advice, they can rely on their the different departments. If we manage to really rebuild that confidence and the trust between the secretariat services of the Commission and member state, I think that we would have achieved something important.
Yeah. So, I mean, this, reflection from your side in terms of your role, focusing on the working arrangement, working processes that need to comply with African Union rules and regulations and standards, but also a level of professionalism and standard that is required. You also mentioned, Pan-Africanism. I thought it's really interesting that you mentioned Pan-Africanism. The reason why I thought it's interesting is because one of the things that you see from ordinary people among the wider African public who would like to see the African Union living up to what it has set for itself in terms of its goals, objectives, and agenda. I wonder the extent to which Pan-Africanism would help in creating that link between the institution and its processes and what people expect of the Union.
First of all, the kind of Pan-Africanism that would put the interests of the Union, of the collective first. Because if the organization is in a good shape, it means that every one of the 55 member states is in a good situation. It means that to put unity first, to put solidarity first, to put excellence first for the continent, the pride of Africa, the service for Africa, the interest of Africa. This is Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is also to ensure that we more frequently, more than ever, focus on having African common positions that we can, in all areas. We have expertise, we have our interest that we can find a minimal common ground to all African member states to defend as an African common position in several matters. So this is Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is to also at every level, from the lowest level of the hierarchy of the organization to the highest level of the hierarchy of the organization, is to ensure that the values of integrity, the values of professionalism, as you said, the values of competence are put at the service of the organization. Why? Because this is what was the dream of the founding fathers. This is Pan-Africanism. Today, that we protect our interests, our peace, our stability. And it's not a matter of a country or a government or a ministry. It's a matter of us individuals, leaders, but also member states and African civil servants.
If we move forward and get your further reflections, particularly around some of the issues that you referred to from an institutional perspective, African Union institutional issues, that is. You have given a reflection on the state of things. Now, in your vision, you stated that you plan to advance a transparent and accountable process within the African Union Commission. And what are the lessons from the experience so far in the African Union Commission, from the challenges that have been experienced with respect to the workings of the African Union Commission in terms of realizing, transparent and accountable system of process in the African Union Commission? What are the lessons from these challenges and issues that have been faced? And how do you plan to now overcome these issues and challenges based on the lessons learned in order to effectively put that kind of system in place?
Mm-hmm. The first thing that I would like to say is that the African Union relatively is a young organization. Mm-hmm. Of course, when I speak only about the African Union with its current institutions and its methods of work, I'm not talking about the OAU. The OAU. Mm-hmm. So we are still in the process of improving our internal processes. Mm-hmm. To say that as a candidate for the position of the African Union Commission DCP, I would come and change everything. This would not be here. No, the idea is to build on the successes, the achievements of the previous commissions, and the lessons learned from them. And one of the lessons, and this is, I think, the specificity of my candidacy, is that I am a member state. I've been representing a member state. I've been sitting in the PRC. I've been Director General for African Affairs, meaning I have that perspective that is not technocratic, if I may express myself this way. So one of the aspects that I will focus on is the efficiency of internal processes, including through the efficient oversight mechanism, internal oversight mechanism, but with complementarity with external oversight mechanism. I'm talking now, for instance, about the financial resources management, or even the administrative and human resources management. We need to make our oversight mechanisms more efficient. We need to accept that audits, for instance, are for the good of the organization. This is in any successful organization, any successful company. The recommendations of auditors, be them internal or external, are for the good of the organization and are not there to criticize or to add on the burden of the organization. So I will start by, I think, and this is a request by members, this is an appeal by member states, that we give more attention to implementing it should be an indispensable and a normal aspect of the everyday life of the organization. This is something I will focus on the encouraging the career evolution in the organization to stimulate. We all have heard about those staff that have been serving in the same level for years. This is not good human management, because if you serve an organization in a specific position for a number of years, of course, in addition to the fact that in your journey you might have strengthened your capacity through, for instance, studies and diplomas, but you get experience that you need to value. You needs to be valued. Sorry. So this is another aspect. We need to be focused on the results. We need to have an organization that is results based. We need to have an organization, or I say we need to have that. This will be my role to help in having such an organization that is reactive to the expectations and to the changes that are surrounding the environment of the African Union, and we need to improve our internal communication and external communication with member states and also with partners. We need to improve our ICT system. We cannot in 2025 anymore have cyber attacks, for instance. These are all elements that are meant to improve the internal processes. Coordination is very important to halt the double, the double or triple usage of resources, having the same programs located in different departments or even different organs. This is wastage of resources. I will endeavor with the help of everyone to reduce and to halt this phenomenon. There are so many things to be done, but the most important is to really lift the organization to the highest standards in every aspect of the life of the organization in terms of management. I'm speaking in terms of management.
Great. So one aspect of that, and I think which relates to and speaks to what you mentioned earlier on, which is the institutional reform of the African Union. Mm-hmm. I wonder, your thoughts, and then we move to last round of questions. And that relates to the Saka process. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the importance of the institutional reform of the African Union, and one aspect of that relates to this process. There is expectation that this process would come to what may be considered to be a productive end, where all key actors would have a satisfactory reception of how it comes to a close, to an end. I don't know if you have any reflections, given that this may be one of the things that may indeed land on the new leadership of the African Union Commission in terms of bringing it to a productive, a more, how can I put it, a more consensual, a more acceptable in the sense of by all the interested actors. Conclusion.
Yeah, in fact, this is an important process that is at the heart of the reform, the implementation of the institutional reform. Equally so is the MBRS, by the way. But the reason why this process, the Saka process, is important is because it's meant to not only value the human resources that we have and their adequate and how they fit into the positions that they occupy, but also by providing the organization with the highest level of competence and expertise. I left Addis Ababa because, as you know, I served in Addis Ababa at the moment where the institutional reform was launched. And I came back after a number of years, and I have discovered that there is a level of discomfort surrounding this process. And in my point of view, this level of discomfort is the result of a lack of communication between member states and the Commission. Member states, the Commission, the staff of the Commission is constituted from individuals from member states. The staff of the Commission also, the staffing of the Commission also obeys to the rule or to the principle of the quotas. The staff of the Commission or the staffing of the Commission relates to human lives and expectations from government. So how do you organize all these factors in an organization that is being reformed in order to be fit to purpose, in order to be an organization that is efficient? So I think that during the Extraordinary Executive Council, we had very, very important conversations, and I think that the conclusion of that conversation translates the level of disconnect. I hope that during this Executive Council, the upcoming Executive Council, and we trust the committee that was formed by the chair of the Executive Council, constituted by a member of it, to propose a decision that is satisfactory to both, because here there are expectations that seem to be irreconcilable, but no, they are not irreconcilable. We really need to just keep in mind the initial objective, while making sure that our human resources are treated in line with the standards, are valued for what they can bring to the organization, and also not lose sight to the fact that our organization deserves the best in terms of human resources. So I don't think it's irreconcilable, but technically speaking, this is a very, very sensitive process. Sensitive not because it is sensitive because it's the way it has been conducted. There has been, I don't even want to go into the concerns that were raised by member states about some processes, about some terms of reference for evaluation. I'm sure that those who will watch this podcast will understand. But at the end of the day, we have to put the interest of the organization first. And the interest of the organization first is to ensure that it has a staff that it fits to purpose, but a staff that has its rights respected, that it has its career evolution stimulated and stimulating. Thank you.
So basically, this is a kind of process that requires close working relationship, since it touches on the expectations of different interested actors within the system. It requires also an attempt to be guided by the objectives and the purpose as well as the standards, bringing everything together. So if those efforts are brought together with a vision that says that we can find a common ground that delivers to the best interest of what is expected to be achieved, then there is a possibility in the upcoming Executive Council that this will be delivered. You mentioned your position, that you come from a certain qualification and a certain background, including serving as a member of the Permanent Representatives Committee of the African Union, a key body in the day-to-day functioning of the Union in terms of the processes of decision-making, agenda setting, as well as preparation of decisions. And also, of course, the role that you occupied previously as a DG, as you mentioned earlier on. Just would be interesting to know why this would actually be something that would place you best placed for the kind of responsibilities and roles that comes with the position of Deputy Chairperson.
This is a very difficult and easy question. Certainly because I know the organization. I've been working with the processes of the organization for a number of years, but from the seat of a member state. I've also held leadership positions in several contexts. And when I say that I know the organization, the African Union, its processes, its rules, its technicalities of its functioning, but also I know the UN because I have spent 10 years of my life working as a member state with UN processes. So I think that this is really an asset and an added value to what I can bring as a deputy chairperson. I also have held positions of leadership at several and different levels, being, for instance, Director General of the African Affairs in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of a country that has a Pan-Africanist orientation, with one of the countries that has the highest number of embassies across the continent, requires a certain level of sense of leadership, a certain level of vision in order to bring about or bring together different elements to achieve a strategic vision that is set in a national context or in an intergovernmental context. So also the fact that I'm a lawyer also. So if we are targeting excellence, if we are targeting good governance, good management, I think that being a lawyer can help in that regard, because at the end of the day, the first thing that is associated to our organization is that it is an organization that is rule-based. And being a diplomat also, I think, would bring an added value in the sense that our organization, and this is its richness, this is its gathers representatives of different countries coming from different perspectives, different cultures, different systems, also, of course, under the umbrella of our Pan-Africanism, but this requires a certain ability to navigate and to bring, to build consensus, to help, be it within the Commission or with member states, in focusing on the strategic and what is important, and to help by a good management to focus on strategic and important matters. Of course, being a woman also, if it was not the reform, we could have competed with brothers for this position. This time, the position is going to be held by a woman, but I think that this will bring an added value to the management. I think that in the history of the organization, most of it has been, this position has been held by brothers, by men. The only and the first, I think, lady was the current deputy chairperson. And in a sense or in another, the perspective of a woman leader can help. And I take as example also the leadership of Madame Zuma. So I think that I suggest that hopefully, if I'm honored to be elected, we discuss it further after.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are winding up, but this position that you occupy in terms of having worked for and indeed having been part of the PRC, what is your reflection, or what do you think member states need to do different in terms of their relationship with the AU Commission? From what you said so far, there are certain things that are expected of the Commission in terms of the kinds of change that the Commission needs to bring. How about the other side of the equation, which is that of member states? How member states can do things differently in order to advance a more collaborative functioning, a more effective functioning relationship between themselves and the Commission?
I think that first of all, we need to really be more committed to the everyday work. We need to better focus on the guidance that we give to the Commission, and better guidance has to be informed by a better understanding of the challenges. I think that communication is key, and also at the end of the day, a genuine understanding of the fact that this is a collective endeavor. So, concretely speaking, as member states, as PRC, as bureau, I can understand that the Commission would expect from the member states a more proactive, and this also falls into the Commission, relationship when following up on the matters, on the implementation of the decisions of heads of state, and preparing our meetings, in implementing our programs, and in understanding the challenges of the Commission. But for the member states to understand the challenges of the Commission, of course, there is a need to have a mindset that is available to do so, and I think that there is this mindset, but also an ability from the Commission to professionally expose the problems and to expose the challenges, but also to propose solutions that get the ownership of member states. This is also a matter of ownership. The work of both has to end with an outcome that is collectively owned, and for us to do so, this is not impossible. I personally have this same experience with the African Union Commission before, so this is something that is possible. Support. We need to also ensure that whenever there are vacancies that are advertised, we help in channeling those positions so that the best candidates are submitted through the established, of course, processes. We need also to there are so many good experiences in our countries. We can share. Let us find a way for member states to share our experience, to put it to put those experiences available for the Commission, but also for other member states, and also maybe to work with the Commission to have on the confidence building, the trust building, the communication. It's very important.
You mentioned earlier on the question of financing of the union. I mean, there are two aspects to it. One aspect has to do with the changing international dynamics, which has double consequences. One of the consequences has to do with, indeed, the economic conditions of member states has become really difficult because of the many developments that we have seen over the course of the past few years, from pandemic and other developments. And the other aspect has to do with international financing has been decreasing and declining, which basically also makes it the availability of resource from outside the continent declining for the union. We see it, for example, in terms of peacekeeping operations, for example, among other things, but we can see it now currently in the humanitarian sphere as well. We are going to see huge decline in the flow of those kinds of support. So one of the financing is environmentally this one, as you rightly pointed out earlier on. The other one, of course, has to do with the kind of processes and that need to happen in the union. How can the AU, with respect to those two aspects, the economic challenge that is facing member states, as well as the decline in the availability of international finance for that may be tapped by the union, how can the African Union Commission go about responding to the challenge? Is the first question. I have another question that relates to really the internal dimension of the AU Commission.
First of all, as you said, you referred to the difficult economic situation of member states. The first thing that the Commission can help with is really to support the processes for instance, the operationalization of the AFCFTA. Because the overall objective of this, the AFCFTA, for instance, is precisely to ensure that, or to help member states to, through their intra-continental trade, to add value to the natural resources, and that we shift from a trade that is more costly with the outside market, let me call it the international market, but also in terms of supporting member states through well-tailored programs to improve their their internal industrialization processes, because the continent is rich in terms of natural resources. So it's your industrialization that would add value to your resources. And even if you add value to your natural resources through their industrial transformation, it's always more beneficial to trade those goods internally within the continent, services, goods. So I think that this is one area that the African Union Commission, through we have the AFCFTA Secretariat, but I think that the African Union Commission can help through their 11 departments to really achieve progress in that area. Also, education, promoting the portfolio of education, because when we refer to education, is also the fact that your curricula are adequately in line with your economic needs, meaning that you won't train students in areas where they won't find jobs and they won't produce wealth. So I think that there is a work to be done also in terms of infrastructure. There are it's not up to the Commission to conduct projects, not at all, is how to help member states, regions to transform their, for instance, their internal network of roads, for instance, into corridors, so that we can facilitate the intracontinental trade, the movement of persons, of goods, but also in really investing into the programs, the prevention programs, so that there is peace and stability. So that we have the right processes in terms of early warning systems, in terms of assisting member states for when they need to strengthen their democratic governance, and so on and so forth. This is at least one of the examples that I can give in that area, but also in finding innovative financing resources that are African. We have African financial institutions. We have the AFDB, we have Afrexim Bank, we have AUDA NIPAD. It's not a financing, but it's a development agency. We need to focus and to have an orientation towards the fullest utilization of these institutions for the benefit of member states. And of course, the Commission can help, creating a dynamic, not creating, but supporting dynamics between member states and REX. The regional dynamics that create stability, create wealth, and create peace.
So that is the wider environment. Then there is also the internal environment that you mentioned earlier on, and this relates to really the kind of interface and the kind of synergy that needs to exist. So what kind of synergy and interface do you envisage between the AU Commission and various other bodies of the African Union with respect to the financing process, including relevant PRC committees, such as budget, the F-15, with respect to issues of preparation of the budget, with respect to implementation of AU budgets as well. In your earlier reflection, you mentioned internal and external oversight mechanisms with respect to audits, whether they are internal or external, but there are also these other important stakeholders or actors within the UN. And it looks like that the interface between them, the synergy that exists between them matters a great deal on the extent to which there is efficiency and the extent to which there is also adequate and effectively functioning systems, the system of governance in the Commission. So what kind of synergy do you envisage and expect?
Well, when asking about what kind of synergy is an objective. It's not, the aim is to create or to strengthen that synergy so that first of all, synergy goes through the level of communication and information across the board. So we need to work on the channels of communication in terms of the level of information about different processes, because administrative and budget processes require that the decision-making body has a clear and a cross-cutting overview of the whole system. And just to refer to the requirement of synergy, and synergies between all these these actors, all these committees, the organs, with all their budgetary processes. After 2015, the current general supervision on administrative, financial, and you know that very long and inspiring name of the subcommittee has precisely been modified in that way to respond to this requirement of synergies, because at that time there were several subcommittees working into silos, and the first thing is to solve this or to find solutions to the work into silos. We need to have a way of be it at the level of preparing the budgets, the execution of the budgets, but also the assessment of the budget execution. We need to have a system, and I intend to work decisively, or at least I'll be committed to improve the relationship between all these organs, so that we can have these budgeting processes from the beginning till the end, help the organization make savings, have an optimal use of those resources, but also in terms of programs, because if you talk about synergies, it's not only about resources, it's also about programs. If you have related programs being funded in several and located in different departments, this is the worst case scenario, when they are located simultaneously in the different departments. But when they are located, because we can tackle that much more easily. But when they are located in different organs, there are several examples. So many African institutions dealing with migration, so many institutions, African institutions dealing with terrorism. Whereas, sometimes these are initiatives by member states, but we need to put everything into music, to refer to the synergy act you are talking about, so that we save resources, and we save efforts, and we better use our human capital.
Finally, about the international profile of the African Union and its partnership. Mm-hmm. The African Union has built a number of partnerships as part of its international profile. It had also last year become a full member of the Group of 20, which is a global platform that really plays a very important role, for the economic health of the world. In that respect, I would like to ask you, what would be the contribution of the Deputy Chairperson for the AU to make the best out of its membership in the Group of 20, in the G20?
This is a very timely question. As you know, the discussions are very taking place currently on how the organization will be represented, on how we are going to internally organize ourselves, be it at the level of member states, but also at the level of the Commission, in order to have the best performance of our presence, of our membership as the G20 in the very wide agenda that the G20 has. So, of course, the role of the Deputy Chairperson will be after member states and the Commission have established the accurate framework of representation. We have taken decisions about the representation, but this time, after South Africa has assumed its chairmanship of the G20, will be, I think we will start our participation, our full participation to the G20. And the Secretariat, the African Union Commission, will have to lend support to member states or to the in the representational manner that we have agreed. But the deputy chairperson has to ensure that the resources, the departments that are in charge of aspects of the participation to the G20 are enabled to do so through the expertise, through the means, after the member state would have, of course, made pronouncements on such means.
How do you think then, just these are really wrap-up questions. How do you think the system of governance of the AU Commission advances or hinders the role of the AU in the global stage? Because there are increasingly the AU is, taking and playing an important role, not just within the continent, but also globally, including through its effective participation, not just in the G20, but also in the wider UN system. Mm-hmm. So how do you think the system of governance processes and how the AU Commission is organized and functions, how does it contribute to or hinders effective representation or role of the AU in the global stage? And what needs to be done in that respect?
I think that we need to have a more proactive preparations with member states with regards to the preparation of our meetings with our partners. It's important for the Commission to be in full synergy this time with member states when it comes to their to the interaction and the engagement with partners, in order to have a clear understanding of what is expected from the partners or from the partnerships by member states. And it's not only a matter of expectation, but also to understand better and to, or at least to be the efficient bridge between the partners and the member states in order to make the partnership achieve its goals. This is why I was referring to the African common positions. This is why I was referring to the fact that we need to focus on really strategic issues of the Agenda 2063. So the Commission, if the Commission, and this is not a criticism, but we need, because in every process you have terms of reference, you have frameworks, and those frameworks for the African side is its Agenda 2063, its constitutive act. So departing from that, in my point of view, is what could hinder the success of partnerships, because we have everything we need in our frameworks, internal frameworks, continental frameworks. The disjuncture between what member states want, the way they want it from partners, and the way it is discussed by sometimes the Commission without going back to member states can hinder. And I'm being very frank with that. I think that there is a lot to do in that regard. There has been a time where we had more synergies in terms of preparing our engagements with our partners, in terms of reviewing the implementation of the outcomes of each partnership meeting, in terms of assessing the programs that we are agreeing to, or the needs that we are expressing, or even the contribution that we are bringing to the table in that partnership. Because we have always been saying that the African Union has to be an active player at the global level. So for us to be able to play that role, we need to internally ensure that processes are smooth, and that whatever is made in terms of pronouncements with regard to partners is in line with what member states want, need, and expect.
Ambassador Selma Hadaddi, candidate for the position of Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission, thank you very much for your time joining the Pan-Africanist, Amani Africa's podcast for this important reflection about the state of the African Union Commission, what is expected of the African Union in this current continental and global environment, the need for repositioning. It has really helped us in understanding better what the demands and expectations of the coming years would be if the African Union Commission is going to live up to the ideals and the policies that it has set for itself. So thank you very much once again, and we wish you the very best in your campaign for this election.
No, thank you very much, and I would like to thank you and to congratulate Amani Africa for this program. And in a personal note, I really much like the title, the Pan-Africanist. I would just say that the subject is so stimulating and so wide that I think we would need more than
exactly one single edition. Definitely.
Single edition.
Yeah, inshallah, we will have another opportunity after the election.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you.